Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the final installment of the video series, The Debate, The Gift That Keeps On Giving, 3 Against 1, and Islam Still Won. Okay? Now, I want you to show you this guy right here, the Puerto Rican, so-called Puerto Rican, my homeboy, who supposedly studied in yeshiva to become a rabbi, and then decided that he was going to instead be a Messianic Jew. Messianic Jew is nothing but a Christian by another name. I want to show you, I want to let him talk, to put his foot in his mouth, and then I'm going to comment. Okay? Watch. This is a gift that just keeps on giving. It's like, if a gift like this, if it was food, it would end world hunger.
Okay, now, is Yogi Boy used for mighty and strong man, yes or no?
What verse you want to use it for? What verse you want to go to? What verse you want to go to?
Is it used, Yogi Boy, is it used also for a mighty and strong man also?
You got a verse? We'll pull it up. We'll pull it up.
Get that. You're the Jew. Get the verse. Wait a minute, you're the Jew.
My verse is right here. What Isaiah believes, the child to be born from Isaiah 7, it's a sign from God. That's why it's a virgin. That's why it's Emmanuel, God with us. In Isaiah 9, he's called Mighty God. In Isaiah 10, this is the God of Israel referred to. This is what Isaiah believes.
Now, can we talk?
And hold on, one more thing. Let me throw one more thing at you, and you got the mic.
This is
Listen, hold on.
Okay, he threw all the stuff. Then what happens is they end it there. Then God logic comes out and he ends the whole thing there. He didn't really want me to speak. So they end it right there. Okay, and you can watch the video for yourself and see for yourself and verify that what I'm telling you is the absolute truth. Now that guy with that commentary made me absolutely 100 million% positive that he never studied in yeshiva. Okay? He tried to connect Isaiah chapter 9 verse 6, okay, with the book of Isaiah chapter 7 verse 14. Incredible. Again, I explained the corruption of the book of Isaiah chapter 9 verse 6. Number one, it's not a prophecy. Okay? They forced it to be a prophecy by criminal means, by changing the verbs in the verse from the Hebrew past tense, which is called the perfect tense because it's already verified, it already happened, to the future tense in order to make it appear as a prophecy. On top of that, everything that I've given you, there is nothing in the book of Isaiah chapter 9 verse 6. Now this is on top of what I gave you in video number 2 and 3. There's no mention of any kind of status of any woman, whether she's a virgin or a young woman bearing a child. The name Emmanuel appears nowhere in there. Now, when you look at the book of Isaiah chapter 9 verse 6, it begins to talk about the attributes of Allah. Everlasting Father, in that term. Mighty God, El Gabor, all these things. Wonderful Counselor. All these things. Okay? Attributes that are attributed to God in the Bible. And only to God. Now before that, now that's in the Christian version. Now, but before it gets to those attributes of God in the biblical sense, it begins with this incredibly killing 2 words. It says, these incredible words. It begins with, and he shall have the governments upon his shoulders, and the governments will be placed upon his shoulders, and the governments will be placed upon his shoulders. That's what Isaiah 9:6, when it begins to talk and shows those, attributes, mighty God, everlasting Father, wonderful Counselor. It begins with that verse, and the governments will be placed upon his shoulders, and then the attributes and characteristics come. That's a killer for Jesus. Now, this is on top of what I gave you in video number 2 and number 3. That's a killer right off rip, right off the bat, right from the beginning. Because Jesus ran away from the obligation of leadership of the Jewish people, defying the role even of Messiah. Because when Messiah in the Bible knows that he's Messiah, he carries on the leadership of the Jewish people in totality, never rejects it. Okay? So Isaiah 9:6 says, and the governments will be upon his shoulders. But read the book of John chapter 6 verse 15. 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 No, it's not a broken record. It's because I want you to read it, go to it, and see for yourself. Jesus ran away from the obligation of being the leader, ruler, and king of the Jewish people. Again, it says, Jesus, fearing that they would make him king, ran into the mountain or the temple. I forget which one it was. He ran away from it. That defies description of Messiah, completely defies it and goes against it. And number two, eliminates him from the book of Isaiah chapter 9 verse 6, which states that the governments will be on his shoulders. That he will have the governments on his shoulders. He ran from the obligation of being the leader of government. He ran from it. Book of John chapter 6 verse 15. This is over right here and there. I didn't have to go into the technicalities that I did and nuances that I did in video number 2 and 3. It's not necessary, because right off the bat it says, and the governments will be placed on his shoulders. And in the book of John chapter 6 verse 15, Jesus ran away from the obligation of leadership, completely defying what it says there. Not to mention that the word Emmanuel is not mentioned anywhere, nor the type of girl that's having the baby is mentioned nowhere. But right off the bat, and it has nothing to do with Jesus, because number one, it's talking, when you read the context from verse 1 on up, the book of Isaiah chapter 9 is talking about a situation in Israel that began, it would be likened to what happened with Gideon and his battle against the Medes. Okay, so it has nothing to, now go to Isaiah 7:14. He tries to connect Isaiah 7:14 to Isaiah 9:6. Okay, Isaiah 9:6, they try to force it into a prophecy by changing the verbs from the past tense to the future. Isaiah 7:14, they did the same thing. Okay, now Isaiah 7:14 says, Achor niyitem Hashem hulachem os hine ho alma-hora iyolates bein v'korash shmo Emmanuel. The word ho alma does not mean virgin. The word betula in Hebrew means virgin. Ho alma means young woman. Then the word comes next, which is hora. The word hora in Hebrew means pregnant or with child, that the person is already pregnant and with the child. Hine ho alma-hora. So that woman, 750 years before the birth of Jesus, was pregnant, and she had that child. In verse 15, when the child when the child eats solid food from the milk of the mother breast to solid food and learns right from wrong, then victory will be given to King Ahaz over the king of Syria and the king of the northern kingdom of Jerusalem, and both kings was called Pekah and Revin. That victory will be given. That's 750 years before the birth of Jesus. Christian scholars, knowing that the context you cannot get around the context. The context is absolutely clear and undeniable, now have come up with what they call dual fulfillment. That yes, a virgin had a baby by the will of God 750 years before the birth of Jesus to deal with that situation. And then 750 years later, with the birth of Jesus Christ through Mary. The problems about that are unreal. You went from the fire into the frying pan. Because now you're saying that two virgins had a son by the will of God. So if Jesus Christ is the Son of God, co-equal to God, okay, because he was born of a virgin by the will of God, and he is the Son of God, who is an equal to God, completely equal with God, then the first son, born 750 years before Jesus to another virgin by the will of God, has to have the same exact methodology applied to him. So now how many gods do you have? How many gods do you have? So now you have to go from a trinity to a quadrinity. Father, it's not Father, Son, and Holy Ghost anymore. It's Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, quadrinity. The problem is incredible. This is how I know this dude knows nothing. Both verses cannot be cannot be connected. Both are the product of corruption, tahrif al-nas, and tahrif al-mana. And because they are corrupted in that way, that's how he makes the connection. Only he is concentrating on the corruption, but not on the original, and trying to make the corruption be the connection between both verses. He's dead. He knows nothing. Assalamu alaikum.